They said I had no wife, no kids, no life, just a wallet with legs. For 5 years, I sent my family nearly $200,000. No questions asked, no expectations. I thought I was helping. I thought I was doing the right thing. But all it took was one wrong text to reveal the truth. My brother made the mistake. One careless tap, and a message meant for a private chat landed in the family thread. I still remember the moment it appeared. I was sitting at my desk, microwaving leftover stir fry, watching crash logs load. The ping came in. I looked down and saw it. No wife, no kids, no life. A total nobody. But keep milking the loser. He still thinks he's helping us. I stared at the words, frozen. My stomach sank. My brother had sent it. Then my mom reacted with a thumbs up. My dad followed with a message that read, "Better him than the IRS." That's when I realized. For 5 years, I'd been nothing more than a fallback plan, an ATM with a heartbeat. They had a whole secret thread, one I'd been funding, one where I was the punchline. I wasn't family. I was leverage. I didn't react. I didn't scream or type back in rage. Instead, I started digging, quietly, thoroughly. I pulled up every wire transfer, every PayPal transaction, every receipt. The $4,200 I'd sent for mom's knee surgery, spent at a cosmetic clinic in Scottsdale. The $8,000 I wired for property taxes, sent to a shell company registered to my father. The address? My apartment. The name? Mine. Then I saw it, a loan application. $75,000, filed under my name, a veteran small business grant. The only problem? I've never served in the military, but my name, my social, and even my scanned passport photo were on it. They'd gone beyond betrayal. This was identity theft, coordinated, deliberate, precise. I locked my credit, froze my accounts, contacted a lawyer I trusted and a cybersecurity friend from college. I asked them to dig. Metadata, IP traces, financial trails. I wanted it all. I didn't want revenge. I wanted truth, proof, undeniable evidence, and Christmas was coming. 1 week before the holiday, I got pulled into a meeting at work. My manager said someone had reported me, claimed I was laundering money through the company servers. It was false. I proved it in 10 minutes. But that wasn't the point. My family had tried to sabotage me at my job. That was the final line crossed. A day later, my mother called. She said they were doing a Christmas testimony night at church. Just family. Just tradition. She asked me to come. I said yes, but this time it would be on my terms. On Christmas Eve, I walked into the same church I grew up in. The smell of candle wax and cheap coffee hung in the air. The same wooden pews, the same banners. I sat near the back, coat zipped, hands in my pockets, gripping a small remote. My family sat closer to the front. Dad in a blazer, Mom with her shiny brooch, my brother in the choir loft. He saw me, smiled, winked. The pastor stepped up in a red reindeer sweater, talked about grace, about families that lift each other up in hard times, about loyalty. Then he invited people to come forward and share stories, testimonies. My father stood, said he was proud I was there, that it had been too long. He invited me up to speak. I stood slowly, walked down the aisle, calm, no expression. I took the mic and looked out at the room, 70 or so people. This Christmas, I said, I want to talk about what family means when it's real. Then I pressed the button in my pocket. The speakers crackled. Then came my father's voice, loud and clear. He's got no life, no kids, no wife. He's easy to squeeze. By April, everything will be in his name. Then my brother, total nobody but reliable, always pays. Then my mother, the grant's already approved, he won't even notice. We submitted everything to his address. The room went silent. Some people gasped, others froze. I said nothing. Then I spoke again. Over the last 5 years, I sent them $192,000. I wasn't invited to holidays, but my money was. They applied for a federal business grant under my name, said I was a veteran. I'm not. They filed for a second mortgage on my condo, transferred $24,000 out of my savings. When the money started drying up, they started calling me a nobody. That's when a man stood up near the front. Andrew Mitchell, the church accountant. He held a folder and said, 2 weeks ago, I saw a subsidy request in Jack's name. I've known Jack for years. He never served. He never started a business. This is fraud. He handed out copies of the application to the pastor and several guests. Someone near the front whispered, "Is this real?" Another woman covered her mouth. My father shouted, called it fake, said I was twisting the facts. I pulled out one last paper. Original grant application. Same IP address as their house, my passport photo, their printer metadata, my dad's signature. The pastor's voice was low but firm. "We don't tolerate deception. Not in this church. Not during Christmas." My mother slumped in her seat. Aunt Margaret burst into tears. Someone walked out of the choir. Two women in the front stood and followed. One muttered, "I thought they were the example." My father shouted again, said I was still their son, that I owed them forgiveness. I looked him in the eyes. "I'm not your son. I'm not your wallet. I'm not your backup plan." Then I walked past him, past the pews, past the pulpit where he once preached humility and practiced theft. I didn't look back. Outside, snow was falling. I sat in my car, turned the engine off, opened my phone, went to the folder marked Evidence Final, and hit send to the Department of Veterans Affairs, to the Grant Oversight Board, to a journalist who ran a podcast called Family and Fraud. One line in the email: recorded, verified, submitted. Let there be light. In the days that followed, my phone lit up. First from people who were there, then people who had heard, and finally, people who suddenly remembered how to feel guilty. Mom left a voicemail, said she didn't know it had gone that far, that it was supposed to be temporary, that she never meant to hurt me. I didn't respond. Dad sent an email, said I humiliated them, attached PDFs of 3 checks, $15,000, called it a refund. I deleted them without opening. David messaged me from a burner Instagram account. Username TruthHurts1991. Said, "Nice TED Talk, loser. Hope you enjoy being alone forever." I didn't reply, just saved it in a folder called Legacy. Then came my aunt, the one who used to bring me books on my birthday. She said they were panicking, that my dad was talking about suing for defamation, that my mom was falling apart. I didn't reply right away. Then I said, "They should have fallen apart before they built a castle on my bones." She asked, "Do you think you'll ever speak to them again?" I said, "I'll speak to them in court." My cousin tagged me in a forgiveness quote on Facebook. I blocked her. My sister messaged me from a new number, said she was scared, that she didn't agree with them. I left it on read. That week, I gave an interview on a podcast called Inheritance of Silence. I didn't name them. I didn't have to. The truth was enough. When the host asked what I'd say to people who tell me, "But they're still your family," I said, "Family is supposed to teach you what love feels like. And if they teach it wrong, don't let them keep teaching. Leave the class." I changed everything. Got a new number, moved across town, set up a digital wall around my life, started a blog called Used by Blood. First post, how they stole from me and how I got it back. It hit 40,000 views in 3 days. Emails poured in. One said, "My brother did the same. They guilt-tripped me into bankruptcy." Another, "Your story is my story. I wasn't alone, but I was finally free." Weeks later, I passed a bulletin board outside the city library. Yellow flyer, torn edges. A name caught my eye. Public auction. Foreclosure. Hart Family Holdings. I smiled. They built an empire on lies. The government found out. The business collapsed. The grant was revoked. Their accountant investigated. Their bank accounts frozen. They tried to declare bankruptcy. The court said not without disclosing the fraud. They didn't. They lost everything. My aunt called again, said Dad tells people he's retired, but the church asked him to leave. Too much noise. Too many questions. Now he works nights at a liquor store. Scans IDs, keeps his head down. Mom doesn't leave the house, uses grocery delivery, keeps the curtains closed. David is alone. The girlfriend left, took the car, took the dog. He lives in a basement studio. Writes songs about pain. I didn't say anything. A few months later, I passed by their house, my old house. The lawn was dead, mailbox crooked, paint peeling, big red sign, for sale, as is. A young couple stood at the gate with a realtor. They smiled, laughed, pointed at the broken shutters. They didn't know what ghosts lived in those walls, but I did, and I walked on. That night, I pulled out an old box from under my bed. Inside, a photo of me, 12 years old, on Dad's shoulders, smiling. I lit a match, watched it curl and blacken. I didn't collapse when I cut them off. I didn't disappear. I lived. I made my own food, paid my own rent, fixed broken chairs I found near dumpsters, slept in peace. They thought they were stealing an inheritance, but they buried themselves, and I never went back.